Picture yourself walking alone in a park, only to stumble upon a horrifying sight, an individual lying in a pool of blood. Your fear would be indescribable. Now, let's transport ourselves to the early morning hours of March 29, 2014, at approximately 5:45 a.m. In Castle Park, a local resident encountered a gruesome and unsettling scene. This individual discovered another man who had met a brutal demise, having been fatally stabbed and left in a gruesome puddle of his own blood. The first police officer to arrive at the scene, PC Benjamin Savory, described the victim of this savage attack as bearing severe injuries to his head, hands, and face, with a substantial amount of coagulated blood obscuring his left eye, rendering it invisible. The victim was subsequently identified as James Attfield, a 33-year-old man. A father of 5, who had suffered a brain injury resulting in the loss of function on his left side and impairments in his reasoning and speech, was James Attfield. He endured a horrific attack in which he was brutally stabbed a shocking total of 102 times, sustaining grievous injuries to his head, face, and torso. This savage assault sent shockwaves through the Colchester community, leaving them in a state of disbelief and apprehension as they feared the presence of a potential serial killer. Their worst fears were realized when, 3 months later, on June 17, 2014, another victim was discovered at the Salary Brook Trails. The victim was identified as 31-year-old Nahid Almanea, and she had suffered 16 slashing and stabbing wounds, including a horrifying injury through both of her eyes. Initially, detectives did not link the two murders to the same perpetrator, speculating that Almanea may have fallen victim to a hate crime due to her Muslim identity. Approximately a year later, the police received a report about a suspicious teenager hiding in the bushes. A woman who encountered the teenager while walking her dog vividly recalled the eerie encounter as he stood no more than 15 feet away, fixating his gaze directly upon her with an unsettling, manic expression that she would never forget. Prompt police response led to the arrest of a teenager named James Fairweather, who was apprehended carrying a sharp lock knife and donning surgical gloves, raising concerns that the woman who reported him may have narrowly escaped becoming his next victim. It was a remarkable instance of swift action and a fortunate stroke of luck. On that fateful evening, Fairweather confessed to both murders, finally connecting the dots that had eluded investigators for months. According to Fairweather, he claimed to have been hearing voices instructing him to commit acts of murder. He provided gruesome and detailed accounts of his past 2 attacks and acknowledged that he had been actively seeking his third victim when he was apprehended in January 2016. Fairweather, however, denied 2 charges of murder and possessing a dangerous weapon, but instead admitted to 2 alternative charges of manslaughter due to diminished responsibility. Despite his plea, the prosecution rejected it and pursued murder charges against Fairweather. This led to him facing a double murder trial. During the trial, it came to light that Fairweather had an obsession with serial killers and had extensively researched individuals who had previously pleaded guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. Contrary to his claims of being influenced by voices, evidence suggested that Fairweather maintained full control over his actions and was well aware of what he was doing. Dr. Yosef, a prosecution witness, asserted that Fairweather's assertions of hallucinations were fabricated attempts to deceive those evaluating his mental state. Fairweather had even disclosed to medical professionals his intention to commit further killings, expressing his desire to take the lives of 15 more individuals before his capture. Shockingly, he also placed blame on Nahid for her own death, stating that she was at fault for walking alone while a killer was at large. His mental state appeared severely unhinged, and he even openly declared to the police that if released on bail, he would kill again. On April 29, 2016, Fairweather received a life sentence with a minimum term of 27 years in prison.